Morning.
Good morning.
How are you,
Good
sir?
morning.
Good morning.
It's spring for the second time this week.
Yes. A little frosty this morning.
Yep.
So, Mr. Chair, we are live and recording, and you can begin whenever you wish.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Anybody that I have missed, and welcome everybody to our March 24th Committee of Adjustment meeting. I'd just like to, before we begin, I would like to remind everybody that the meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the Township's YouTube channel. And we will be holding this meeting as though we were in the council chambers, and we will follow up with all of our regular policies and procedures. And please raise your hand if you would like to speak on a matter, and I will call on you. When I call for the vote, I will call for all those in favor, followed by all those opposed. And you will physically raise your hand to vote in the manner you wish to vote. I'd like to now call on the roll, and please raise your hand and state your presence when I call your name. Committee member Jim Patterson.
I'm here.
Mark Porter.
Present.
Robert Lamar.
Present.
Rod Manley.
Here.
Okay, and we have our staff with us. We have Martina Chat-Hartwick, and we have planner Christina Kohler.
Good morning, present.
So with all the committee members in attendance, I will call the meeting to order. I ask committee members if they have any pecuniary interest. Seeing no hands up, I take that nobody does. And now we'll move on to our Committee of Adjustment minutes for January 13th. We'll look for a mover and a seconder to receive and approve these minutes. I see Rod Manley, seconded by Mark Porter, and all in favor, carried. First on our list, we have minor variance application for I'm going to say for the planning department is 23-11, and the location is Park Lot 2025 Concession 3, 1797 County Road 6. I will turn this over to Christina to address the application, and I'll turn this over to Christina now to carry on and tell us. And I believe, do we have the applicants in with us as well?
Not this morning. Chair Sherry indicated that she's not able to attend this morning, so.
Okay, well, thanks for that, Christina. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to you, Christina.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, members of committee and the public. This is the public meeting for minor variance application A-01-23, and the committee has before them report planning 2023-11 with the following recommendation: that the committee review and consider all verbal and written comments received regarding minor variance application A-01-23, and that the committee approve minor variance application A-01-23 as requested to address a condition of the decision of the Land Division Committee, Peterborough County Land Division File B-23-22, and to bring the proposed lot into compliance with the zoning bylaw. The variance is deemed to be minor in nature and is appropriate for the development of this land. The application maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and approval is recommended with no conditions. So the owner of the property, Sherry Webster, has applied for a minor variance on her property located at 1797 County Road 6. The property is subject to Peterborough County Land Division File B-23-22 for the creation of a new residential lot. A minor variance is required as a condition of the decision in order to permit the lot to be created with a minimum lot area of 0.38 hectares. The property is zoned rural, and a single detached dwelling is a permitted use in the rural zone, requiring a minimum lot area of 0.4 hectares. Due to the environmental constraints on the property, the severed parcel will be deficient with a minimum lot area of only 0.38 hectares. So the purpose of the minor variance is to reduce the minimum lot area requirement of the proposed severed parcel from 0.4 hectares to 0.38 hectares. A site sketch was prepared by Chris Muscalo, Ontario Land Surveyor, which illustrates the proposed lot based on the environmental constraints as identified on figure 4 of the environmental impact study that was prepared by Cambium and in support of the severance application. Notice of the public meeting was given on March 7th, 2023 by ordinary mail and email to all prescribed persons and public bodies, and to every person and public body that's provided written request to receive notice. Notice of the public meeting was circulated by ordinary mail to every owner of land within 60 meters of the subject property, and a sign was posted on the subject property, as well as notice was posted on the township website. The giving of notice complies with the applicable regulations of the Planning Act. After the writing of this report, written comments were received from the owner of 1842 County Road 6 in opposition to the application. If it's acceptable to the chair, I think Martina is able to read those comments for the committee.
Sure. If Martina, if you'd like to read out them comments, that'd be great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So these comments are from Kent Hilker of 1842 County Road 6. He states, "It's without malice that I submit my written opposition to the minor variance application for 1797 County Road 6, Douro-Dummer. My opposition is presented in writing as internet in this area remains insufficient to allow for participation in a virtual meeting. My property is located across the road from the property applying for the variance. It should be noted that the site sketch attached to your notice of meeting omits a significant wetland that crosses County Road 6 and surrounds my property at 1842 County Road 6. This wetland runs on the north side of the road on a sharp double S bend, 300 feet to the west and then 400 feet beside the entire length of my property to the north, and then connects to a wetland that runs to the east of the entire back portion of my property and continues on through behind the property at 1862 County Road 6. Much of this aforementioned wetland, as noted, is easily visible from the road. Please see the attached modified map for your reference. I'll show that once I've completed reading the comments. You note that the application for minor variance is to reduce the minimum lot area requirements for the proposed severed parcel from 0.4 hectares to 0.38 hectares for a building. In this case, we oppose allowing any alteration of this property size at 1797 County Road 6, as I believe you are not taking into account the potential volume of runoff from the proposed 52 house subdivision, which is noted to be located to the northeast of the property, 1862 County Road 6, approximately 500 feet from my property line. These wetlands that surround my property and run across the road into the property at 1797 County Road 6 were noted in the proposed plan of subdivision as significant drainage easements and throughways for drainage and movement of the noted wildlife and species at risk located at the proposed subdivision site, which would potentially decrease the overall available lot size at 1797 County Road 6, meaning that the lot size seeking a variance may be further reduced in size due to the expected runoff. I ask that I am appraised of the decision of this minor variance application." And I'll just share my screen to show you the map that Mr. Hilker had submitted. So just one moment. Chair, are you able to see the map in front of us?
Yes, I am. Can all the other committee members see that?
Very good. So this is the map that Mr. Hilker had spoke to in his letter. And so I think this is the proposed subdivision. These are the wetlands that he's mentioned in his letter. And then this is the parcel of land that's in question today. So.
Okay. Do we have any questions for either Martina or Christina?
Well, actually, if it's okay with you, Chair, I have a few more notes to add on this application, so I can continue on and then we can open the floor for discussion.
Sure, that'd be great, Christina.
Perfect, thank you. So there were no other written or verbal comments received from members of the public regarding this application. Senior staff of the township have not identified any concerns. Comments were received from the following prescribed persons and public agencies. Otonabee Region Conservation Authority provided correspondence dated March 14th, indicating that the application is consistent with provincial policy statement section 3.1 regarding natural hazards. The application is consistent with sections 2.1 and 2.2 of the PPS regarding natural heritage and water, and conforms to the growth plan sections 4.2.3 and 4.2.4 regarding hydrologic features, key hydrologic areas and key natural heritage features, and lands adjacent to key hydrologic features and key natural heritage features. The subject property is not located within an area that is subject to the policies contained within the source water protection plan. And ORCA did indicate that permits from their agency will be required prior to any site alteration, construction, or demolition on the severed parcel. ORCA staff have also noted that a lot grading and drainage plan may be requested at the permit stage to ensure that the site hydrology will be maintained and directed appropriately. So with that, I will turn it back to the chair for any questions from the committee and the public.
Okay, thanks, Christina. I see Robert has his hand up. Go ahead, Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, this is variance is required as a condition of consent for land severance. So my question is whether or not we know if the gentleman who's concerned about the variance made his concerns, made the Land Division Committee aware of his concerns.
Thank you, through you, Chair, to committee member Robert Lamar. To the best of my knowledge, I was not aware that there were any concerns raised at the severance application stage. Certainly at the township level, there were none raised.
Okay, thank you. Any
Thank
other?
you.
Any other?
Well, yeah, I guess
questions? Oh, sorry, Robert.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yes, sorry, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so again, that process would have been advertised through very similar means as the advertisement that the gentleman would have received for the minor variance. It's actually advertised a bit more widely. You know, that was really his opportunity, I think, to raise any concerns. I mean, it's a bit, from my perspective, it's a bit late in the game to be bringing up an issue when the process is already a very detailed process has already been followed to permit the consent, right? You know, in addition to that, of course, we've got benefit of an environmental study that was completed by a professional, and that professional has established that, although there are constraints in the area, that it's appropriate and consistent with the relevant policies to allow for the creation of a lot of the size that's being proposed. So I think, his concerns, I think, are addressed by virtue of that as it relates to the wetland. With the subdivision, of course, I don't know a whole lot about that and whether or not this would have an adverse impact on the subdivider, but this is land that is owned by a private individual, and certainly the subdivision couldn't impose itself on the private individual without their consent. So those are my comments.
Okay, thanks, Robert. Anybody else have any? Rod? I see Rod's hand up.
I just wanted to add the fact of the matter is that it looks like everything's been done possible to carve out the building envelope and make it happen. So I support this severance. I appreciate the fact of the concern that was raised. And again, I agree also, hopefully it would have been done in a timely manner and brought to the attention of those before us. But we are at this point in time, and that's my thoughts.
Okay, thanks, Rod. I see Jim Patterson. Jim, I think you're muted, maybe. Can you hear me, Jim? I think you're muted.
I got it. I couldn't find the mute button.
There you go. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, I'm in agreement with the comments. I would like Martina to circulate the objection to us when we're offline, because I think it's important background, even though we're likely to proceed. Okay.
Thanks, Jim. Does anybody else have any weigh-ins on this? Well, seeing no hands, I will. Oh, sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I concur generally with other members of the committee. If there were gaps or shortcomings in the environmental assessment, if Orca had raised other concerns, I'm particularly interested in being new to the committee, but I'm particularly interested. I do know that Orca is talking about probability of requiring a raised septic as an example to, and also the potential of having to have a grading plan. All of these things, I presume, are intended to, through their mechanisms, address some of the concerns that this individual's raised. So again, for the reasons mentioned by other members here, I will be leaning towards supporting this minor variance, because I feel like, the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed at this point.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Well, I guess I'll move on and ask for a vote on the recommendation. Do we have a mover? Robert, a seconder, Jim Patterson, and all in favor? Carried. Okay. Now we're going to move on to number 2023-10, and this is on Stony Lake, Dodsworth Island. I believe that do we have the agent and the applicant in with us today in the meeting?
Mr. Chair, we have the agent, Christine Watts, and Scott Wooten, and I am not sure whether the owner is with us or not, but they're here to speak to the application.
Okay, well, I'm going to turn it over to Christina to do her thing for us, and then we'll look for any comments from the agents and owners if they are present after that. Go ahead, Christina.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee and the public. This is the public meeting for the minor variance application file number A-02-23. The committee has before them report planning 2023-10 with the following recommendation: that the committee review and consider all verbal and written comments received regarding minor variance application file A-02-23. That the committee approve minor variance application A-02-23 as requested for the life of the structure to facilitate the issuance of a building permit for the construction of a 14.68 square meter addition, being proposed addition number 1, a 15.62 square meter deck, proposed deck, and an 8.73 meter square meter addition being proposed addition number 2, as shown on the site plan prepared by Kawartha Lakes Construction, dated March 17th, 2023, attached to the decision as Schedule A, and to bring the proposed lot into compliance with the zoning bylaw. The variance is deemed to be minor in nature and is appropriate for the development of this land. The application maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and approval is recommended conditional on the following. The first is obtaining any necessary permits from ORCA, Douro-Dummer Building Department, and any other required ministry or agency. The second, that verification from an Ontario land surveyor be provided to the township chief building official after the structures are framed to confirm that all applicable setback requirements have been met and to ensure compliance with any relief granted by the decision of the committee. And finally, that if any archaeological artifacts are found during construction, that all development shall be halted immediately and the proper agency be contacted. So via their agent, who is Kawartha Lakes Construction, and I think we have 3 folks from Kawartha Lakes Construction present today. The owners of the property, David and Rebecca Bart, have applied for a minor variance on their property located at 1056 Stony Lake, Dodworth Island. The owners wish to construct a 14.68 square meter addition, a 15.62 square meter deck, and an 8.73 square meter addition to the rear of the existing frame cottage. The purpose of the minor variance is to increase the maximum lot coverage required for the primary structure from 5% to 6%, and to decrease the existing eastern interior side yard setback from 6.9 meters to 5.5 meters in order to permit the proposed construction. A site plan has been prepared by Kawartha Lakes Construction based on the sketch that was prepared by Elliott and Parr, which is dated March 17, 2003, and it illustrates those proposed additions. Notice of the public meeting was given on March 7th by ordinary mail and email to all prescribed persons and public bodies, and to every person and public body that has provided a written request to receive notice. Notice of the public meeting was circulated by ordinary mail to every owner of land within 60 meters of the subject property. A sign was posted on the property and notice was posted on the township website. The giving of notice complies with the applicable regulations of the Planning Act. The owners of 1060 Stony Lake, Dodworth Island, which is located immediately east of the subject property, provided email correspondence that they have no comment or concern about the application. However, they did wish to note that the existing cottage on the property, which was initially described as a one-story on the site plan, when in fact the section closest to their property is 2-story. Based on those comments, staff did request an updated site plan, which was received by Kawartha Lakes Construction on March 17th, and that's the site plan that's attached to the report. There were no additional written or verbal comments received from members of the public, and senior staff had not identified any concerns. In preparation for the pre-consultation meeting, which was held on January 19th, regarding this application, comments were obtained from Curve Lake First Nations, who had indicated that as long as there is no soil disturbance, there shouldn't be a need for any archaeology. However, if any archaeological or cultural resources are encountered, their office is to be contacted immediately. As of the writing of this report, there have been no other written or verbal comments received from the prescribed agencies. However, the following comments were received from the Conservation Authority after the writing of the report. ORCA indicated that the application is consistent with PPS section 3.1 regarding natural hazards. An ORCA permit will be required for the new development, and the subject property is not located within an area that is subject to the policies contained within the Trent Source Protection Plan. So with that, I will turn it back to the chair for any questions from the committee and the public.
Okay, thanks, Christina. Before we go to our committee members. Is there any information or anything that the agent would like to address with the committee? I'll turn that over to Scott if he has any more information.
No, but happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Well, with that, I'll turn it over to the committee to ask any questions or any concerns. I see Robert's hand up. I'll turn it over to you, Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question for Scott. Based on the comments that were received from Curve Lake, so what's the methodology to avoid soil disturbance? Are they building on bedrock, or are they using helical piles?
I believe you're excuse me, Scott. I think you're muted.
Pardon me. Sorry. Thank you.
That's okay.
It's Rob. It's on piers, and bedrock is very close by. There's very little soil, so there'd be really no disturbance whatsoever. Really, it's within a few inches of bedrock. I could do the excavation with my boot.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Rod?
Not really a question, just support of the application. It certainly seems to fit the characteristics of the surroundings and minor in nature. So it looks like an okay fit.
Okay. Anybody else? Seeing no. Oh, Mark.
Yeah, tend to agree with Rod on that. Simply, the design, looking at the footprint of the existing building and the existing setback, I think the closest corner of the existing 2-story is about 2.87 meters to the lot line, and the design of the additions and the deck is within the general existing confines of the greater, exterior shape of the building. So we're not encroaching beyond what's already there. So I don't see any issue with this particular. I think the design lends itself to what's already there. So yeah, I'll be in support of this.
Okay, thanks. If there's nobody else with any questions or concerns, I'll ask for a mover and a seconder. Mark and Jim Patterson. And all in favor? Carried. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot, Scott, for joining us today. Moving on to 4.3, and I'm going to turn this over to Christina again for her update on this application.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee, and the public. This is the public meeting for minor variance application A-03-23, and the committee has before them report planning 2023-12 with the following recommendation: that the committee review and consider all verbal and written comments received regarding minor variance application A-03-23, that the committee approve minor variance application A-0323 as requested for the life of the structure to facilitate the construction of the 64.66 square meter addition and 8.73 square meter deck as applied for in building permit DD-2022-1211 and shown on the surveyor's real property report prepared by Elliott and Parr Peterborough Limited, dated February 28th, 2023, attached to the decision as Schedule A, and to bring the structure into compliance with the zoning bylaw. The variance is deemed to be minor in nature and is appropriate for the development of the land. The application maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and approval is recommended with no conditions. The owner of the property, Eric Belanger, has applied for a minor variance on his property located at 148 County Road 4. I don't think Eric is in attendance today, but his wife, Carly Killen, is present, and perhaps their agent, Mark McLean. The owners obtained a building permit for the construction of a 64.66 square meter addition and an 8.73 square meter deck to the rear of the existing dwelling. During construction, the building department became aware that the addition was deficient in the interior side yard setback and found to encroach into the western interior side yard by 0.04 meters. The purpose of the minor variance is to reduce the minimum western interior side yard setback from 6 meters to 5.9 meters to permit the addition and deck. A surveyor's real property report has been prepared, which illustrates the existing structures and proposed addition and deck. Notice of the public meeting was given on March 8th by ordinary mail and/or email to all prescribed persons and public bodies, and to every person and public body that has provided a written request for notice. Notice of the public meeting was circulated by ordinary mail to every owner of land within 60 meters of the subject property, and a sign was posted on the property, as well as notice posted on the township website. The giving of notice complies with the applicable regulations of the Planning Act. Written comments were received from the owners of 150 County Road 4, 154 County Road 4, and 162 County Road 4, all indicating support of the application. There were no additional written or verbal comments received from members of the public. Senior staff of the township have not identified any concerns. As of the writing of this report, there had been no written or verbal comments received from the prescribed agencies. However, the following comments were received from the Conservation Authority on March 21st. The application is consistent with PPS section 3.1 regarding natural hazards. An ORCA permit will not be required for the new development, and the subject property is not located within an area that is subject to the policies of the Trent Source Protection Plan. So with that, I will turn it back to the chair for any questions from members of the public or the committee.
Thank you, Christina. And welcome, Mark and Carly. If you have any other things you'd like to weigh in before we go to the committee members for questions? I think we can't hear you, Mark. I think your mic might be shut off. Oh.
Mike, if Mike's, I'm just going to jump in. It doesn't look like his microphone is working, but he may want to use the chat feature. Martina, if that's acceptable. At the bottom of the screen.
The chat feature is available, and Mark, you can write a message and everyone will receive it, and then I can read it out to the audience. So Mark states that he has no additional information, but can answer any questions that may come up.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks a lot, Mark. So I'll turn it over to the committee for any questions or comments. Rod?
I certainly support this application, as it is very minor in all respects, and just appreciate the work that people to do for such a small thing, but it's important also. So again, support this 100%, and thank you.
Thanks, Rod. Any other members? Mark?
Yeah, I support this as well. My question is, and I think the photos, the evidence of the photos obviously confirm this, like this structure is built. Like we're not moving this 4 centimeters. We don't have, like, the alternative is significant, and the minor is extreme, or the variance rather is extremely minor. But this building's already constructed, correct?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yes.
Go ahead, Carly.
I was just gonna say, yes, that's correct. We're already, it's built and we're enclosed at this point.
Okay. Any other members have any way in? So I'll ask for a mover and a seconder. For a mover, Rod Manley, and I see Jim Patterson. All in favor? Carried. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Mark and Carly, and I don't see anything else on the agenda. I don't think for today's meeting. Oh, sorry, Martina. I see Martina's hand.
Through you, Mr. Chair. There is item 5.1 in other business. If I could just speak to that before we end.
Absolutely. Go ahead,
Great.
Martina.
Thanks. As this committee is relatively new in its current formation, we've been looking for training opportunities that would work well for everyone, and to make sure that everyone's on a level playing field and has the information they need to make educated decisions. So we have found a virtual training program offered by the Ontario Association of Committees of Adjustment. So it encompasses some distance learning. So there's readings that have to be done, including watching some videos, and then there's some quizzes. So it's not a heavy load, but I think it will give you a great stepping stone to learning more about your role and the role of committees of adjustment. So we're going to be signing everyone up for that. You'll get notice of that, I think, in the next week. And then we were hoping that everyone could complete their coursework before our April meeting, so that we can have a bit of a workshop and get together before we get into any applications in April to go over what we learned, and if there's questions and how it relates to the work we do here. We thought that would be a great way to start those types of discussions. So just wanted to let the committee know about the plans we've got in place for you.
Okay, that's great, Martina. There's so it looks like the next meeting date will be sometime in April. I'm sure Martina will send that out to us, and as well all the training information.
Yeah, we're working towards our next meeting being April 21st.
Okay. Mark, I see Mark's hand up there.
Through you, Chair. Martina, do you know roughly when we'll get notification and access to that training? And I'm certainly one of the individuals who asked for something along these lines, so I appreciate you finding this and forwarding it.
I have everything signed up and lined up. I just have to put your emails into the system, and then it'll generate access to you. So you should have it, I want to say end of day, but maybe tomorrow morning.
I'm not that eager, so either's fine. Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks, everybody. I guess I'll call for a motion for adjournment.
So
I see
moved.
Rob and Mark. And all in favor of that motion. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody, today. It's great that we can do this online and save everybody traveling. So good seeing everybody.
Have a good day.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
day,
everyone.
everybody.